Hey everyone, today's July 4th, 2019, so happy Independence Day. I'm wearing my red, white, and blue shirt. Yay! And my animals are around me, so hang on a second. Here's my cat. His name is Teddy. Say hi. Okay, you're tired. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm David, and today I'm going to do a book review on a book I finished last night, which is called Fast Girl by Suzy Favor Hamilton. Oh. It's a memoir. It's about this woman named Suzy Favor Hamilton who was a college runner in the 70s and 80s, and she eventually makes the Olympic team and goes to the Olympics 3 times, but loses each time. And then she eventually goes to Vegas and becomes a Las Vegas escort. And, I didn't really understand or know of her story until, I think, last year when I saw a 2020 Dateline segment on her where she was, promoting her book and her story of her struggles with perfection and bipolar disorder. She was eventually diagnosed, and basically the story was, like I said, that she grew up in Wisconsin and she had a family, and her brother had bipolar disorder and he eventually committed suicide, and she felt this immense pressure to be perfect all the time and a pressure to win all of her races because she thought that it would be a good distraction for her family to take their minds off of what was going on with their brother and be able to celebrate her winning streaks. She married a man in college who was also an athlete. He was a baseball player, and then, like I said, she made the Olympic team in, I think it was the early 2000s, and and she lost each time. And then the thing about it was that she was still getting a lot of sponsorships, even though she was not being able to run her fast times, and she was getting criticized from her fellow runners about the endorsement deals and the money that she was making and the magazine covers that she was stacking up, but she was not winning anything for a while. But then she eventually made the Olympic team. I really like this book. I listened to it on Audible, not Audible, but audiobook on YouTube. And what I took away mostly about it was just the lesson of perfection and the stigma surrounding mental illness, because she eventually discovered she was bipolar like her brother, and the kind of erratic behavior that she exhibited when she was in Vegas was something that she knew that she would have never done had she not been bipolar or taking the drug Zoloft. And, her book is very detailed. It really is. It's very detailed, and she goes into honest depth about, her childhood and her family and her high school and college years, of her track and field days, and then the ups and downs of all of it, and then eventually her marriage and her pregnancy when she was suffering from postpartum depression, and she was noticing she was having immense attachment problems where she always had to hold her child. And, at the home front, her and her husband were not talking or they were fighting, just like any other marriage goes through tough times. She was actually a real estate developer. Her and her husband ran a real estate business, and it was the 20th anniversary, and they decided to spark up their relationship and go jump out of an airplane and then go to Vegas and have a threesome. And then she realized right then that that was the kind of life and mindset that she wanted to live in, and that's what prompted her to go to become an escort. And I like it also how throughout the book there's like little excerpts, little chapters of just information and history of bipolar disorder, and how, generally, psychologically, it affects bipolar people, and in her case specifically, how she could eventually come to look back at her behavior and see that those were signs of bipolar symptoms. Like this. I don't know if you can see that, but it's in italics, where the rest of the book is in normal font, but there are chapters that are sprinkled throughout the book that are about bipolar disorder and her realization of how her disorder affected her family. Not knowing that she was bipolar at the time, though, she realized it by the time she wrote the book. And another thing I took away from this book was the stigma and judgment around shame and guilt. She's never ever said, if you see the 2020 Dateline segment on her story, or if you read her book, which I really suggest that you do, she's never once said that she felt any shame or guilt over, or regret over what she'd done. She takes full responsibility of it, and she does not pin her behavior on bipolar disorder. Like, she was not, like, a complete unconscious, absentee state of mind. She was not like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She was very aware of what she was doing every day, every minute. She was sleeping with guys for money in Vegas. Okay? And she fully knows that. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about this forever when we talk about perfection and stress and the stigma surrounding mental illness and guilt and shame over what a person perceives to be a mistake and bad behavior, where other people don't think of it as taboo at all. And if you followed my channel before, you'll know I'm very interested in gender and sexuality. But I think the biggest thing to take away from it is know that we're all human beings, and we all make mistakes, and we all perceive mistakes differently. And what we deem to be a mistake, one person may think is completely normal, and you may get judged for it, but another person may not judge you for it at all, and you just have to understand for yourself, your own moral compass and what you believe in and who you want to be and what kind of individual thoughts and life you want to live. And Suzy, had to learn that. She had to learn that throughout her career of being a track and field runner, that perfection was not everything. That, there's no shame in reaching out for help when you have a mental illness. There's no shame or guilt around being an escort and having sex for money, because that's a thing with gender and sexuality, with escorts and strippers and call girls and all of those things. Like, they're human beings and they have thoughts and feelings and jobs. This is a job, strip clubs are a job, and it's amazing to me how men, mostly men, kind of degrade women for showcasing their sexuality in a promiscuous way and call them whores and sluts, but they're the ones also going to a strip club wanting to get sexually satisfied by these women, And there's other men, like the men that Suzy encountered, where she was an escort, and these men did not degrade her. These men did not treat her like crap. These men were actually encouraging her to sleep with more men other than her husband. And she thought, wow, like, I have clout, and I have control, and I have independent, like, freedom over my own body and my own choices of, what I want to do, because I've lived my whole life having to portray an image to the outside world that I'm perfect and I'm a runner and I'm a winner all the time. And this one thing she does, going to Vegas, Sin City, is you can do and be whoever you want to be. She did just that. She became a completely different person. She used an alias. She was not Suzy Favor Hamilton. She used an alias named Kelly. She called herself Kelly. And there was a website called the Erotic Review where she was ranked, where women were ranked based on their clients' level of satisfaction. And she was obsessed with wanting to become number one. And she tried her best. But then when the story broke, and then it was all over the news, and people were calling her a whore and a slut, and saying that her husband was an idiot for putting himself and their daughter in this situation, and how could you stay with her, and saying to Suzy that she should have killed herself like her brother did. But if you think if a man had written a book about his experience about being an escort, or showcasing his sexuality, that he would be scrutinized in the same way? Of course not. So yeah. But again, we all are human beings, we all make mistakes, and we all perceive mistakes and choices in different ways, and the stigma and judgment around mental illness and reaching up for help and feeling shame and guilt over an act that you do, it's your choice how you deal with it. And I'm proud that Suzy has not felt that she needed to carry any shame or guilt over this act. She doesn't let it define her in any way. So, which is good. So, again, if any of you like this review, I feel like I'm not doing a good job, but, here it is again, but Fast Girl, Suzy Favor Hamilton. It's a memoir, and I'll put a link in the description for you guys to buy the book or watch the 2020 segment if you would like to. But, alright. See you guys soon. I'll have another review up in a few days, maybe. Peace.